Hello everyone and welcome back to English Entry. Today we are analyzing another crucial passage from this Abeysekara's Bringing Tony Home. In the very first paragraph, the narrator was at the Television Training Institute premises driving towards the Independence Square on a specific day in March 1996. Then, in the next paragraph, we found him in a stubble field at twilight. Now, we are going to delve into the passage that reveals what the narrator was actually doing during those different time zones in different places. Let me first simplify this passage to make it easier for you to understand. This passage unfolds a great deal of revelations for a first-time reader who might feel confused by the initial paragraphs and struggle to see their connection to one another. This confusion is intentional. The writer uses a cinematic technique describing two parallel scenes from two different time periods to emphasize the complexities of the narrator's mindset. So, let's figure out what's revealed in this passage. I'll read the passage line by line. While I am reading, I'll be displaying the meanings of some of the highlighted phrases. You can follow them while I am analyzing the text. So let's get started. This is where the passage begins. That was the end of Vidagankariyo, English title, The Outsiders, my 12 hours long television series. The narrator begins by announcing a completion. That's his 12-hour television series. He has just finished the final episode, including all the sound dubbing and titles. Now we know what was described from the second paragraph ahead. Can you remember in the second episode we discussed the stubble field at twilight, movement of Munapala parallel to camera tracks, white car bearing Messinona? That was a film shooting scene of his own television series. The writer didn't mention this at first. He kept it as a secret to mention it at this point. And on that day in March, I was going home after completing the final episode, sound up, titles and all. At this point, the writer reveals what's the significance of the date March 1996, which was introduced in the first paragraph of the story. That's the exact day when he was driving home after completing his television series. My mind was cross-cutting between reality and the last moments of the film I had just completed in the editing room. The narrator states that his mind was cross-cutting. It means his thoughts were rapidly switching between present reality and the memories of the film. That's what happened in the first 2 pages of the novella. The writer jumped between parallels, real present and memories of the film shooting. If you can remember, in the very beginning of this video, I mentioned that the writer used a cinematic technique to express the complexities of the narrator's mindset. That's it. It is cross-cutting. It is film cuts between 2 parallel actions. Here, Abeysekara uses it as a literary technique. His mind is jumping between the present, driving home in March 1996, the recent past, the film shot in February 1994, the distant past, childhood memories in Egodawatta. It had taken exactly 2 years from the first day of shooting to the end of post-production. He further tells us the project took exactly 2 years from the first day of shooting to the end of post-production. The master tapes, the final ready-to-broadcast versions, are complete. The telecast was scheduled for 9th April. Do you see? The writer is precise with mentioning time and places. The narrator is meticulous with details such as March 1996, 12 hours television series, 2 years from the first day of shooting. This is how writer builds up the trust in the reader's mind about what it makes real life story. This precision grounds the narrative in reality. Abeysekara is telling us this is not just a fiction, these are lived experiences marked by exact dates and places. That complicated shot, which closes the series, was the first to be recorded. It was on the 26th of February 1994. Now, here's something fascinating. The closing shot of each series, the dramatic, complicated ending, it was recorded on the very first day of shooting, which took place in February 1994. This is a reversal. Normally, you film the beginning first and save the ending for last, but here, the ending comes first. What does this signify? It hints at the rapidly changing nature of post-colonial Sri Lanka. In a world where everything is transforming so quickly, where paddy fields are replaced by shopping malls, where traditional villages are overshadowed by modern highways, the past is disappearing even as you try to capture it. By filming the end first, the narrator is trying to preserve something that has already begun to fade. So this reversal reflects narrator's awareness in post-colonial change in Sri Lanka. The scene was staged on the vast paddy field beginning at the edge of an embankment below the high level. Now the writer gives us the details to visualize the setting, the place where the last scene of the film was shot. The beginning point is a foreground detail, the edge of an embankment below the high-level road. This embankment is a sloped bank of earth that drops down from the high-level road to the flat land below. I hope the camera is positioned at the bottom of this embankment. If you look upward, you would see the road rising above, and also if you look forward, the paddy field stretches out before you. Now, when you turn your head slightly across the road from where you are standing, there is a railway station. In 1994, when this scene was filmed, the station was visible. You could see the platform or the building structure. The station sits in parallel to filming scene, opposite the Navin railway station, now obscured by the Arpico showroom. This railway represents colonial infrastructure, a remnant of British rule, and also it symbolizes the connection and departure. This links back to one of our major themes, that is colonial identity. These frames make us pay attention to a specific fact. When the narrator is writing this in 1996, looking back, the view has changed. The railway station is no longer visible. Standing in the same spot, you now see a large, modern commercial building, the Arpico showroom. It blocks the view. This single detail is devastatingly symbolic. The Arpico showroom represents urbanization, commercial development. The narrator is telling us this place I filmed is already changing. Even the landmarks are disappearing. It's good I filmed the last scene in the beginning. This links back to one of our major themes, that is loss and ending. Next, We are given the path of the field where it heads forward. It's rolling all the way past Bill and Miller Temple. Let your eyes travel forward across the paddy field. The field is not small. It stretches for a considerable distance, and on its way it passes by the Bellamilla temple. This temple lies there generations after generations. It represents Buddhist religion, Buddhist culture, tradition, and Sinhala community. And also, what is the destination of this field? It goes towards Attidia marshes. The end point of this field is Attidia marshes. And also, now we are given the most important detail about the surrounding village, Egodawatta. The paddy field does not just stretch forward, it surrounds the village of Egodawatta on three sides. Imagine a small village nestled like an island in the middle of a sea of rice fields. Perhaps you could see a school, a small shop, people moving about in the visible distance. And also, we should focus on the narrator's emotional perspective here. And this is the place where he grew up. He arrived here as a 10-year-old boy. He lived here for over 2 decades. He left there at the end of his youth. This village gave him the dramatic and emotional backdrop of his film. So this village is the emotional center of the scene. The camera captures the field, but the narrator sees his entire childhood. Every inch of that field holds a memory. This is why he returned to film here. He was filming his own life. He then shares a deeply personal memory. Growing up in Egodawatta, first as a lonely boy and then as a wayward teenager, he had watched the awesome sunset over Hattidia many times. And now, almost 3 decades later, he had returned to capture it. This links to one of the themes of the story, that's connection between art and life. This suggests the film's narrative drew directly from his lived experience, which was an emotional backdrop for the narrative. Okay, guys, this is the end of the passage. I hope you understood it. Let's move forward. I have listed the flow of events took place in the narrator's life. This is very important because writer mentions these specific dates, places to build up the trust in the reader's mind. When we go through the text with these specific dates and time, we tend to believe the story. We tend to believe what the narrator is telling. And here's the timeline. The narrator arrives at Egodawatta in his teens. He stays there 20 years. Then he left there in his late 30s. This is one of my cases, okay? He returned again after almost 30 years later. I think now you can guess the actual age of the narrator. When the narrator is telling his story, when the narrator is writing this story, perhaps he is in his 60s. I guess he's in his 60s. You can comment below your idea. And also I have highlighted visual imageries. The vast paddy field beginning at the edge of an embankment, scrolling all the way past the Bill and Villa. Temple towards the Attidi marshes, the paddy field surrounds on three sides. So this isn't just a description, it's the eye of a filmmaker. Abeysekara sees the world cinematically, framing shots, considering angles, capturing light and space. The visual imagery makes the setting come alive in our minds. And also, this natural world in this passage reflects the narrator's inner state. The sunset over Arcadia is not just a physical phenomenon, it symbolizes transition, ending, and the passage of time. Here are the themes that we have already discussed within this passage: memory and nostalgia, loss and ending, colonial and post-colonial identity, connection between art and life. Okay, we have reached the final stage of this episode, that's context friction. I have designed 4 context frictions here targeting GCE O level examination. You can answer these frictions accurately after watching my analysis. So this is all about the analysis part 3 of Brain Home. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you in the next analysis. Until then, have a good day. Goodbye.